I'll never forget the first time I heard that engine. It was like thunder mixed with arrogance, loud, flashy, and completely out of place on a quiet patch of farmland in rural Tennessee. I was in the barn helping my granddad when that blood-red blur came tearing across the lower pasture, throwing up a storm of dust and cow panic. The first thing out of Grandpa's mouth wasn't even a curse, which surprised me. It was quieter than that, just a slow, guttural no, not again. See, it had already happened twice before. But this time, it wasn't a mistake. It was a statement. My name's Daniel. I'm 29. And this is the story of how my grandfather, a man raised by the land and hardened by grief, gave a pair of entitled influencers the lesson of a lifetime, using nothing but patience, mud, and a lifetime of knowing when to let the land do the talking. It all started last spring, right after I moved back home post-divorce. Life in the city had chewed me up pretty good. So helping Grandpa on the farm seemed like a decent way to hit reset. He's 73, still wakes up at 5 to check the cattle, makes his own breakfast, and talks to the strawberries like they're family, which, in a way, they are. He planted that patch with Grandma Lucy the summer they got married, and after she passed from cancer 5 years back. He's tended them every season like he's keeping her alive, one berry at a time. So when Madison and Skylar, two Karen-coded sisters from that fancy new development over the ridge, decided our land was the most aesthetic shortcut between their cul-de-sac and the shopping district, they weren't just cutting across dirt. They were disrespecting a life's work and a love story. They'd scream across the property in a silver Maserati like they were filming the next Fast and Furious, Farmer's Edition, blasting music, laughing, live streaming the whole thing to their followers like it was a joke. Grandpa told them, real polite at first, "This is private land, ma'am. It's not a road." Skylar, the driver, just smirked and said, "Maybe don't park your old farm in the middle of our route to Starbucks." I swear, I saw something in Grandpa's face tighten in that moment. Not just anger, but disappointment, like he was realizing how far the world had slipped from where he left it. After the third time, we tried the sheriff. Nothing. No plates, no faces, no case. That's what they told us. So we put up signs, locks, cameras, everything short of a moat. But they came back, every day for nearly 2 weeks. Sometimes they brought friends, even had the audacity to tailgate in our upper field, popping bottles while our cows hid in the tree line. And then they ran right over Grandma's strawberries. Just drove straight through like it was decorative landscaping. I found Grandpa kneeling in the dirt that afternoon, calloused hands cradling broken stems like they were bones. He didn't cry. But the silence around him was louder than anything I've ever heard. That night at dinner, he just said, "Danny, I think it's time we fix that drainage problem behind the cattle pen." I knew exactly what he meant. See, there's a low spot right at the edge of the property, a natural dip that always collects water after a rain. Grandpa and I spent the next few days improving it. Dug it out, laid hidden piping connected to the irrigation system, mixed in some Tennessee clay, the kind that turns into wet concrete when soaked. We covered it back over with topsoil and grass, like nothing had ever happened. But now, all it took was a button. And that shortcut became a mud trap deep enough to swallow a Jeep, let alone a supercar. The morning of the big moment, Grandpa had that old glint in his eye. The same one I'd seen in photos of him during his Navy days. We were leaning on the fence near the oak trees, sipping coffee, when we heard that familiar roar coming over the hill. Skylar behind the wheel, Madison out the passenger window, filming her country queen content. And right as they hit the trap, Grandpa pressed the button. At first, nothing looked different. Then the front wheels dipped, just slightly, then sank like the earth had opened up to take what it was owed. You ever see panic hit someone who's never been told no in their life? That's what we saw. Skylar floored it, which made it worse. The Maserati spun, screamed, and sank by the time they climbed out the windows. Their influencer glamour was soaked in brown Tennessee payback. I got the whole thing on 3 cameras. 1 live, 2 recording. The internet did the rest. They tried to sue. Said we created a death trap. Tried to spin it as rural terrorism. But the footage, the social media posts, the dozens of videos they'd uploaded themselves trespassing, didn't help their case. The insurance company denied the claim outright, said the damage occurred during the commission of a crime. And just like that, the $220,000 car was worth less than a busted tractor. Then the media flipped. What started as a smear campaign became the story of the year. Entitled "Influencers Get Sucked into Their Own Mud." A podcast episode went viral. Brands dropped them. One of their husbands filed for divorce. Even their dog groomer wouldn't return calls. 6 months later, they showed up at the gate. No car this time, just worn-out shoes. And eyes that didn't carry the same defiance. They'd aged. Not on the outside, but inside, where pride turns brittle when it's been cracked too many times. Madison asked if they could help rebuild the strawberry patch. Chelsea offered to work weekends. I saw Grandpa watching them, and for a moment, I thought maybe he'd let them. But all he said was, "Some mistakes gotta stick, or you'll never stop making 'em." They left without a word. That summer, wildflowers bloomed in the shape of that car. No joke. Violets, daisies. Goldenrod, right in the outline of the mud trap. It's become kind of a local landmark now. Folks stop, take photos by the handmade sign Grandpa posted. What goes around, grows around. Funny thing is, Grandpa never saw it as revenge. He always said the land has its own way of remembering who's good to it, and who isn't. I think you just gave it a little help. So now I'll ask you, if someone trampled on your family's memory, laughed about it, posted it online, then asked for forgiveness only after the world turned its back on them, what would you do? Would you forgive them? Or let the land speak for itself? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to hear what you'd do. And if you've got a story of your own, something about karma coming full circle, share it. Let's make this place a home for folks who've seen the land talk back. And hey, subscribe if you haven't. Because next week's story? It involves a spoiled HOA president, a goat, and a wedding cake made of lies. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.